Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the W3Champions Season 14 Finals. It's day 4 out of 5, and today is a long day, and today is probably the most awesome day. We got the 2v2 Semifinals between LawLiet Sok versus Starbuck KraV. We got the one-on-one part 4 with Hitman So and Starbuck and Fortitude, plus the FFA Grand Final. And of course, we got some wonderful co-casters with me here today. The man who is described by Twitch chat as the peak human being, ultimate Giga Chat, Mr. Monk, how you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited here to cast more 2v2 with you guys, especially for such a banger of a match that we're going to get later today. Quberte, how are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty stoked. Unfortunately, I will not be casting the twos today. I'm giving that opportunity to you guys to do that. I'm sure you do a great job. We have an amazing match here with Starbuck KraV, probably the best team overall against LawLiet Sok, who are also one of the best, and obviously some of the top tier 1v1 players as well we have in the scene. You guys are in for a treat.
I think so too. We're also in for some questions because we're not 100% sure yet if Starbuck is playing Orc or if he's going with random once again. We have Mr. Remo Demo, the admin, on the case. Mr. Remo Demo, from the off, can you tell us if we have races confirmed?
We do, sir. It is no big surprises. LawLiet and Sok going with Night Elf and Human, their main races. KraV with Undead and Starbuck with Random, which pretty much is his main race.
Oh damn, Monk, what do you think about playing random in the twos?
I always think of KraV and Starbuck as like a very chaotic team, even without playing random, and just adding the random factor adds even more chaoticism, and like it's just so crazy. And you contrast this to Sok and the Light, who are a relatively cookie cutter team. I have noticed that they do some things slightly out of the box, such as favoring Paladin second as the human player more so than other human teams in the past. But for the most part, they are very standard. As opposed to KraV and Starbuck, they'll just pull like random like bullshit out of nowhere, just non-standard stuff that you wouldn't see other undead plus X players execute. And even beyond that, they have the possibility of getting double undead, which is not really a combo that I find particularly powerful, or even human undead, which is I think seen by like the 2v2 community as a relatively less powerful combination compared to some of the other combinations.
Quberte, you saw both of the teams last weekend already when we had the quarterfinals. What do you think of their performance last week?
Yeah, well, let's see. You want to go through all the teams that we witnessed last week?
Just Sok and LawLiet and Starbuck KraV. Sok and LawLiet defeated Razormoon and Dice with 2-0, and Starbuck KraV went 2-0 over Sheik and Bizarre.
I mean, to be fair, both those matches I think were quite one-sided. Starbuck KraV, I think surprisingly dominant over Sheik and Bizarre. I was expecting maybe a 2-1 contest there. Bizarre and Sheik obviously playing the Orc Undead combination, which is, in my eyes, a really great combination. We did have a pretty crazy game on White Shore, I do believe it was, or it might have been Deja Vu. I think it was White Shore, actually. Yep, White Shore. That was an entertaining match, for sure. And Razormoon and Dice, I think, you know, the double Night of combination here not working out so well for them, unfortunately, against the top dogs. So kind of a blowout, I would say, in the earlier rounds, but now we're in for what I expect to be an incredibly close contest.
I think so too.
I watched a lot of those games. I watched a lot of those games, and I thought, even though the score was 2-0 for both matches, I thought that belied how close some of the individual games were. For example, the game on White Shore, like you mentioned, I thought that was like actually pretty close until near the end. Whereas with Razormoon and Dice versus Sok and LawLiet, their one of their games was surprisingly close. It was like a 5-base versus 4-base macro game. And at some points in the game, I actually thought that, oh, this is like if yes, Sok and LawLiet were probably winning for the entire game, but it could have the match could have turned on a nail's end.
All right, so both teams definitely in good shape currently. KraV and Starbuck, the kinda defending champions back from season 6 when we had a 2-on-2 tournament last time. It's a couple of years before. But I want to know, how do you prepare for KraV and Starbuck? A, they're very wild and you have no idea what especially KraV is doing. And then you have no idea what race Starbuck even is. Plus, we have like 14 maps in this map pool. Is that even possible?
Yeah, I think preparation will be extremely difficult for Sok and LawLiet. I think Starbuck and KraV here have the absolute advantage in terms of knowing how their opponents are going to play. KraV, as you mentioned, he is such a wild card. We saw in that White Shore game, he went for 2 expansions with a Lich first in the early game. He was just trying to set them up, one of which did kind of go up for a bit, but it bought a lot of time for Starbuck to kind of just creep everything. So even though that play might have looked kind of ridiculous, it sort of enabled his ally to just get massively ahead in experience. I think Sok and LawLiet will have better awareness and probably shut down those sort of attempts, but they're going to have to be on their A game in terms of scouting and awareness for sure.
Yeah, and then we have the question, what's more important in the twos? Is it the strategy and game plan, or is it the pure execution? Because there, LawLiet and Sok might just be ahead.
Might be ahead little, but don't you forget, we have Starbuck pulling double duty today. Later playing a 1v1 with random versus Fortitude later in the day. So not to be too outshined by Sok and LawLiet, who are arguably top 1 to top 3 of their races respectively right now.
It is pretty crazy.
But it seems like we have the maps ready. Number 1 will be Phantom Grove, then Knollwood, and like I actually want to comment on that a little bit later. And then finally we have Shattered Exile, which is like a very tight map, which favors typically favors expansion plays. But yeah, random. I actually was surprised to hear that KraV and Starbuck picked random, or Starbuck picked random specifically, and also they did not veto Knollwood. There's like some kind of psychology there when you play random in a 2v2 match. Do you veto the maps that you're uncomfortable on, or do you veto the maps that one of the races might be like not very good against, very good on? And really single out Knollwood as a map where I think human is just like really terrible, where human is not that is pretty good actually on almost every other map in the 2v2 map pool.
Yeah, and on Knollwood, you have another random factor in the fountain in the middle that adds to the random factor of Starbuck's race and the random factor of KraV's playstyle. So very, very unpredictable match if we go there. Quberte, what do you think of the maps?
Yeah, looking good, to be honest. Phantom Grove, one of my personal favorites, even though I've commented many times I don't really like the long sort of macro games. It is nice in twos to at least have a few maps that kind of emulate that sort of StarCraft-esque gameplay, and it is definitely one of my personal favorites. Knollwood, pretty odd map, honestly. It's been around for an incredibly long time, one of the oldest maps that are still played today. The spawn positions, of course, change a lot as well, which also further adds to the unpredictability. You can be close spawn to your opponent, you might not be. Kind of determines how much aggression and how many options you have in the early game. So yeah, looks pretty good to me. And sorry, what was the second map or the third map?
Shattered Exile?
Shattered Exile. So a map with pretty insane mercenaries, kind of easy creeping and access to an expansion. So I think that will prove to be a pretty even contest there.
All right, we are getting super close to the games. One last reminder that we have a crowdfunding going on for this very tournament. It's the biggest W3Champions finals of all time with 42 players in 3 different game modes. You can reach that crowdfunding via W3Cfinals.backtowarcraft.com. We're currently standing at 2,737. I hate that 2 in the very beginning, guys. So if you appreciate what we do, what the players do, please raise this up to 3K like Rigor Mortis just tried. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoy the games, and I'm definitely gonna enjoy this co-cast with Monk.
Enjoy, boys.
All right, Neo, why don't you intro us off? Where are the players spawning?
Well, Monk, I will tell you on the upper left-hand side. It is very confusing, but I figured it out now. Participating in the 2-2 and the one-on-one department, formerly for the Playing Ducks, it is Starbuck. No, that is KraV, of course. Sorry, this is Starbuck.
You had one job, Dio.
Yes, I have a million jobs here, Monk, okay? This is Starbuck getting the Orc race, which is pretty good for him, as this is the standard combo for him and his teammate, coming from France, doing very, very well in previous DreamHack competition. The craziest undead out there is KraV. And the bottom is a little easier, because that guy, I could recognize with my eyes closed. He's my best friend in the entire scene. He's the most creative Night Elf that we have. Currently rank 1 in the ELO ranking for the Night Elves as well. It's the DreamHack and Raraland Vice Champion. It's LawLiet. And his ally spawning on the bottom right hand side as the human, and maybe currently the best human in the game. He's also participating in the semifinal of the one-on-one competition. It's the B-boy, it's Sok.
All right, the action's starting right away, and we have very typical openings from the Human and Night Elf players. Human is taking an expansion, and predictably Orc, which is typically the most aggressive race in 2v2, is going to be harassing the Human. Very quick, he knows exactly where to go without even scouting, which is great prediction from Starbuck. On the other side of the map, we have KraV. He actually, I believe, canceled a Lich and instead opted for a Death Knight in the beginning of the game and taking an expansion over here. Meanwhile, Kitty, or LawLiet, has finished Immolation creeping the first orange camp, which is very typical on this map, and is now able to defend his ally.
Alright, that is of course helpful. That speeds up the creeping. That should secure the second base. We've seen yesterday how important bases can be also in the 2-on-2 department. And they're working nicely together, the two Koreans.
Yeah, it's very important, especially when you're a human player, that you are always in position to defend your expo, and it's very nice if your ally can help as well. But given that Kitty is on this side of the map and helping to defend his ally, it looks like the undead expansion from KraV will go up very easily without any distractions at all. A lot of action here. KraV is now coming to harass the expansion again, so it looks like he won't get much done because it's just a solo DK with the Demon Hunter on his tail. So the Death Knight kind of just being a little annoying, but also pinning two players. So just the solo Death Knight is actually doing quite a bit. It's not just the Death Knight that's pinning, but just the threat of the Orc player possibly coming in. However, Starbuck, instead of doing any harassment, he is going to creep to level 2, enabling some Chain Lightning if he chooses to. And will be going to, it seems like he's going to be going to hit the Human Blaze, which will not have an Arcane Tower, very importantly.
Ooh, alright, more wolf harass there. Very interesting to me. I'm not sure if the overlay is bugged or if that's the case, but KraV doesn't carry a town portal. Very unusual, especially in 2-on-2s, but now we got some faster grunt wolf action onto the human economy. Dying Militia, is there a better sound in the game?
Yeah, this is a really great harassment from Starbuck, and that's something that it's very typical, but it's very logical. If usually, what happened there is the humans decided to skip the Arcane Tower in his main base in order to just get his expansion up faster. Usually, when you do this initial 5 militia creep, you're lacking a little bit of wood, and even your ally will be starving of wood to give you any wood. So wow, we have KraV in the bottom left. He's going to be trying to cancel this Hunter's Hall, which is typically a very techy building, and he successfully does that, which will delay the bears and the dryads for quite a bit.
In the north, though, Sok had his first attack onto KraV's expansion. That was cancelled as well. So we have lots of damage in Sok's economy. We have lots of damage on LawLiet's tech tree. And we have lots of damage to KraV's economy as well. The only player who can basically do whatever he wants at the moment is Starbuck.
Yeah, this is like typical of a game that we would see from KraV and Starbuck, to be honest. There's just a lot of chaos everywhere, and also typical for like Phantom Grove because it's such a big map and it's so hard to be in position to either defend, attack if you are creeping or on the other side of the map. Every player decided to be aggressive in this scenario, so it's kind of funny how that all worked out.
Yeah, it also translates to their style in the one-on-one. This is kind of what they play there as well. We see Sok's footies deep inside the undead base, trying to force some acolytes to retreat or maybe to be killed as he's on the verge of tier 2. It's not that bad, but Sok's archmage, whoopsie, little oversight there, tanking some damage, but he always carries a TP and can get out if need be. And now, I was about to say the first calm moment of the game, but nope, Starbuck is right at Sok's base again.
Yep, Arcane Tower, however, finishes. It won't be particularly useful against this Tauren Chieftain who has skilled Endurance first, but that is scary for any future Shockwaves or War Storms that come about. We have these peasants going in probably a little too outside of the base, and there's so many peasants being lost. Notably, the Town Hall is still a Town Hall here for the human player. Actually, he upgraded his Town Hall in his natural, now that I know about it. And he just is going to use his main Town Hall to replace peasants in his main.
Oh, Naga surrounded on the right-hand side. That's a loss for LawLiet for sure. No control on the TC anymore. Demon Hunter has to hold the fort alongside the archers as his tech was so delayed. We also get the first walker in with Spirit Link. Kind of helpful at the moment as there's no dispel.
Yeah, the walkers are kind of an insane unit at a tier 2. They fall off a little later on when the spell becomes more plentiful or when breakers become more plentiful. But they make the tier 2 orc army so strong overall. We have a surround here from Starbuck, or an attempted surround. LawLiet actually wasn't paying attention, but Starbuck did not successfully close this round, so the Demon Hunter was able to escape successfully.
Ooh, alright. Only 2 players carry a TP, that is Starbuck and Sok at the moment, with all these wild ambushes going on. That could be a liability down the road. But the techs unfold. We got Starbuck on tier 3 going double Tauren Totem with Walker Master upgrade already. Are we seeing Tauren in 2 and 2?
Oh, it's possible. And forgive my miscall. It seems like because it's double Tauren Totem and Tauren, which is the tech of choice, the Spirit Walkers actually are not going to fall off at all. However, to Sok and LawLiet's benefit, I believe they just got they had a crystal ball from before, and they scanned the double Tauren Totem. So they will have, hopefully they'll have something prepared to counter the Taurens.
Yeah,
that being said, it's not very easy to counter the Taurens with the available tech that the Night Elf and human player have right now. You really need like slow and like or Griffins, or like maybe Talons or Chimera, and none of those are coming very quick, and you need like a ton of slow in order to be able to counter Tauren.
I agree. This could lead to a Blizzard transition later on. Super powerful in the 2 and 2 when there's not much disable. I don't think we will see Raiders on top of that Starbuck tech. So Blizzard could go a long way, but you need the levels on the Archmage. You also need the time to make it to the shop for the Tome of Retraining. This will take a long time, just as this tier 3 tech by Sok.
Yeah, tier 3. I wonder if that is a deliberate choice. To go tier 3 based on the scouting of the Tauren. Is there a second hero? I don't see a second hero in queue from Sok. I was thinking he might go for his signature Paladin, or is he going to change it up because of the Tauren? Tauren are extremely rare in 2v2, so this is just another wild choice coming here from Starbuck.
Okay, we do see the counter. It's Griffin Aviaries on Sok's side, so Griffins versus Tauren, probably a very one-sided fight. But of course in the 2 and 2 you can make up for the weaknesses of your allies' unit composition. And for KraV we see that. Tier 3 on the way, Fiends to web down these Griffins, so he's preparing the counter to the counter.
Yeah, we have here a Paladin coming here from Sok. Well, not only does he prefer Paladin overall in 2v2, I think the Paladin will be great to support the Griffins, which benefit a lot from Devotion Aura in case Starbuck chooses to tech to Bat Riders to try to counter them. In addition, the problem with Paladin overall, I find, is that it's not a very good team fighter. It doesn't have a lot of disables or any disables at all. It's not a very good solo hero when you're fighting 1v1s. So it's hard to pick enemy units off. However, it's going to be excellent at huge team fights if it gets the levels assigned.
Yeah, and you always have the option to go for a third hero with Mountain King for a little disable, or even for a Blood Mage for potential Flame Strike Blizzard combos. AoE, pretty strong in 2 and 2s as it can hit twice the targets.
Yeah, Paladin unfortunately gets caught off guard, so the second choice hero actually does not matter. And I believe it looks like Sok has either skilled a skill point or chosen, hey, I'd rather have a dead Paladin with Holy Light rather than an alive Paladin with Divine Shield. And we have the first attack from Starbuck. Starbuck and KraV. This is going to be a very strong attack. Griffins have not kicked in yet, and we're going to see the human just playing with 3 footmen as his entire army. Can they defend this attack?
Wow, it's not looking too good. Demon Hunter needs some healing as well. Maybe some focus on the DK if possible, but with what Naga potentially? So far, the fight is pretty even. Also the supply numbers, but LawLiet also only at 50, trying to reproduce. Will he be in time? He gets zapped. That triggers the Ankh, but he's out of the fight for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, well, crucially, there is no orb on the undead player because he has taken an expansion first, which means that the focus fire is going to be a lot worse. Kitty or LawLiet has a ton of dryads, so he can actually kite these Tauren back and forth and focus fire a lot of key units. And there's going to be no disable on these dryads at all, so there's going to be a lot of kiting while the griffins are delayed for.
All right, yeah, they have to carry this game for now, or at least delay Starbuck and KraV for when the Griffins are out, and we're getting there. We got triple Griffin Aviary, if I see this correctly, with Stormhammer's upgrade coming into play as well. But Starbuck and KraV, they know exactly how far ahead they are, and they expand again.
Yeah, somewhat expected on this map for these like huge macro plays. But luckily for Sok and LawLiet, this is scouted. And in the bottom right, we actually also see LawLiet has expanded as well. I think a lot of amateur or like a non-pro level 2v2 players, they typically take one expansion per team and then give up there. But on Phantom Grove, especially, the opportunity to take multiple expansions is actually very strong because it's very difficult to punish these expansions since the map is so large.
Sok's former main base is getting punished, and now, with the Altar of Kings falling once again, will force a response, as Tauren are pretty good in erasing buildings. Dark Ranger third, as well as a Shadow Hunter third, so a 2-hero advantage on I'm copying you, KraV and Starbuck.
The Tauren are being focused, and as there are very few Spirit Walkers, the Taurens will remain dead. Oh, Archmage gets nuked to death by the undead Orc combo nuke. But I think the main player is these Griffins, these 6 Griffins that are just dominating the fight. Has Starbucks overcommitted to the number of Tauren? And if so, can they even defend this space with 2 towers?
What a nice cleanup now. The Griffins kill the Tauren, the Dryads kill the Destroyers, so big drop in supply for KraV and Starbuck. But of course, in the hero department, they're getting further and further ahead as both human heroes were wiped out. The Paladin as well, not having a good game, this Pally does. And we got 3-3-2, 3-2-1 heroes on the Western player's side, plus the... Oh no, not really the base advantage, as the expansion for LawLiet is saturated now as well. Still a pretty even game.
Yeah, and we see Starbuck is transitioning to triple bestiary in order to counter the Griffins. Wow, Bat Riders is a possibility, but I think it's probably going to be Wyvern, which have piercing damage, are going to deal really great versus the Griffins, if he's able to get them in large enough numbers before the Griffins just absolutely destroy and win the game.
All right, Bat Riders would have the upside of not granting any experience when they detonate against the Griffins, but Griffins can be upgraded to high armor, especially with Devotion Aura later, which would then make them pretty inefficient. So I wonder what the call is. Bat Riders for now.
Yeah, Bat Riders for now. And I think that is a very admirable choice. The Paladin is relatively low level, and Devotion Aura makes a huge difference in these Bat Rider versus Griffin fights. In addition, with regards to armor upgrades, actually, Sok has 2 armor upgrades now for the Griffins, so that's actually going to be pretty formidable.
All right, and Town Portals traded. A couple of Ziggurats were erased, but the expansion for KraV is still running. More creeping done for KraV as well. He needs that level 3 Lich, I guess. He's getting closer and closer. Fiend numbers look fine. And where does this game go now, man? I feel like Sok really needs some levels somehow.
Yeah, especially for this paladin. I think even one level, level 2, is going to make a huge difference. We see Sok buying a heal scroll. I'd like to see him buy a protection scroll, but the key I think here is that he doesn't know his opponent is going Bat Riders as the counter. Like you could be going like Mass Fiends as your choice, Mass Gargoyles, Wyvern, or Bat Riders, and only Bat Riders require the scroll of protection. So I'd like to see him get it at some point once he scouts his tech.
Good call. Just like town portaling here, they both portaled though, and it was only one Griffin, so nice retreat for the Koreans as the Demon Hunter is able to level quite a bit. Just like the Naga, 4/4 heroes there. Maybe important,
Yeah, and
the only player not in upkeep is LawLiet, so he's getting pretty rich now.
Yeah, and he is actually transitioning to Mountain Giant tech. Tauren actually are the counter to Mountain Giants, but the fact that there's so many Griffins means that Tauren essentially can't be made. I believe very key is that the Human Night Elf team has not scouted the Bat Riders, so they don't know it's coming, and Bat Riders are so much stronger if your opponent doesn't know they're there, so the human player can't like split, he can't pop a protection scroll. So the fact that these are a surprise is going to be huge in the upcoming fight.
Alright, a fight is brewing indeed. LawLiet needs some production, but his lores are busy with the Mountain Giant upgrade, so this is quite a lousy army at the moment. 600 gold, 700 gold, 900 gold for Sok. They have to use these resources at some point, but now KraV and Starbuck figure out that there's an expansion at the bottom, and Bat Riders not only good against Griffins, also versus buildings.
Yeah, there's the Bat Riders are doing some work actually as their secondary purpose of actually raiding, and I'm not sure who would win this battle, and I think both players are kind of unsure who would win this battle, so they're kind of backing off a bit. Maybe LawLiet and Starbuck are waiting for a slight reinforcement wave of units. Meanwhile, on the bottom left, there is a Tree of Life being destroyed by some ghouls, so great map awareness from KraV right here.
He is just everywhere. One of the main bases expiring. Not too long, 1500 gold, around 2.5 minutes, but another ambush by so many Griffins. They take out a couple of workers that Kodo basically deleted. Can they hold this Great Hall? They definitely try.
Yeah, Starbuck is TPing in with all the bats. Are we going to see the bats exploding? Some bat action right now? Nope.
Ooh. Not yet.
Sok is going to retreat. Yeah, and it looks like Sok is at 76 food worth of Griffins, and only Griffins. We still don't have a protection scroll on the human player, but the fact that he's gotten level 2, it makes a huge world of difference. If he reaches level 3, I'm actually wondering, in this specific scenario, is it worth it to get Devotion level 2 even?
I would agree. He does have the 3rd armor upgrade already, so the Griffins are at 8 armor, plus the devotional upgrade. It's really, really hard to make these bats efficient. Hero levels getting there. Demon Hunter level 5, alright. Archmage also close. Not transitioning yet. Still thinking that Blizzard would be quite good, but it's also hectic getting the time to go to the shops. Is limited, but okay. Seems like we have another fight.
Yeah, another fight. Well, a little bit more posturing. Sok has actually gone to the top left of the map in order to... Actually, I believe he's trying to deny an expansion, but he finds no expansion. We do have the Paladin leveling up to level 3, and at least for now, there's only level 1 Devotion Aura.
Alrighty, we have 2 expansions coming up by LawLiet, but an immense pressure from KraV and Starbuck. Will these come up? A Ghoul Scout at the bottom left, Hex on the Demon Hunter, staffed out back to safety, but also out of this fight. And Sok here carries a town portal, right? Yes, he does. So he makes the choice if they want to fight or not.
Alright, we have this very cute play of the Lumber Mills going up. Unfortunately, there's not too many melee units from this Undead Orc combo, and they're not going to block too much damage. The Mountain Giants are coming in to try to deflect some of the damage as well, but no, the castle goes down. Meanwhile, in the top left, the Haunted Gold Mine goes down from KraV, but unfortunately for KraV, there's only 310 gold left. So that's probably a victory for KraV and Starbuck.
They're both losing tier 3 units here. That makes it so that Sok can't build any more Griffins without the tech. Black Citadel is down as well, but that doesn't prevent him from building anything worthwhile. And yeah, I
Yeah,
still have no clue where this game is going.
Yeah, I have no clue who would win a fight. I would probably give it to Sokka and the Light here. I think the Griffins are just too well upgraded for Bat Riders. Bat Riders really fall off in effectiveness once the numbers and the upgrades come into play. But really, it's still anyone's game. And in addition to that, I think the Light has too many Mountain Giants at this point. And we really need more Tauren from Starbuck. The problem here is that Starbuck has the counters to both the big threats, the Mountain Giants and the Griffins, on his side, whereas KraV has more of like a well-rounded army. So you really want like a lot of supply for Starbuck, which means he's going to have to go into high upkeep. And indeed, he's at 88 food right now.
Exactly, and Sok is just continuing to wipe out the bases of KraV. No Haunted Goldmine anymore on the entire map. In the meantime, LawLiet was able to expand at least once. The bottom right was cancelled, but the bottom left is still there. And he's doing such a good job distracting both KraV and Starbuck, while Sok is doing the big echo damage.
Yeah, there's, I believe, 12 Bat Riders here, and I don't think we've seen a single explosion throughout the entire game. We have some Wyvern coming in. Those are going to be really great to help clean up the Griffin. And I think the battle's going to come right now, right here. Riders, their first explosions have gone in, and if we see a scroll of protection, a lot of scrolls of healing. Oh, and unfortunately, not all the Bat Riders go off, and lots of healing has gone off. But we have more Bat Rider explosions, and the Griffins are not all dead, meaning they'll be able to do insane DPS to the rest of the army.
Yeah, still 60 supply left. KraV and Starbuck falling apart a little bit. These Bat Riders maybe detonated a little bit too late. The means, were they justified? I'm not too sure. TC in a little bit of trouble there as well. There's so little left. What can Starbuck and KraV do at this point?
Yeah, all they can do is they tried to nuke the Demon Hunter, but fortunately this combo has a Paladin. And the Paladin is really keeping the Demon Hunter alive. More nukes counteracted by the Paladin once again. However, it's still too much. The Demon Hunter finally goes down at level 5, the first big hero in this engagement to go down. Meanwhile, we have the Mountain Giants cleaning up everything and just doing a good job keeping alive. Dark Ranger goes down from KraV. Shadowhunter goes down from Starbuck. And we see it seems like the only survivors left in this entire fight are going to be essentially some heroes and the Mountain Giants from LawLiet.
Exactly. There's so much LawLiet. 72 food. Yeah, basically just MGs. And we all know that MG equals GG. And that seems to be the case here for KraV and Starbuck as well.
Yeah, just the heroes, the Mountain Giants are, I wouldn't say they're carrying, but the fact that they're surviving means that the army from Sok and LawLiet is going to be very strong, and it's going to be very hard to break going forward. Every team now only has 3 bases in total, I believe. Yeah, 3 bases in total. Sok is trying to set up his third base, or the third base for his team, while as KraV is actually he's trying to set up the second mining base for their team. So advantage there goes to Sok and LawLiet, both in terms of army count, econ count, and number of alive heroes as well.
Alright, the heroes should be back soon. The Demon Hunter was actually close to level 6 and Metamorphosis could have saved him there, just a few XP points off. Otherwise, only third heroes are dead, but we have a level 5 Paladin now. So much healing, so much mana regen as well. And a human carried the game there in the hero department at least a little bit. We have another fight brewing. LawLiet's army might be a little bit too slow against the Unholy Aura and Mountain Giants in general. So, is that the final fight now?
I believe they're probably KraV and Starbuck probably don't want to take any fights right now since they're so weak. And just the units that they have available to them are weak as well. They're kind of like deadlocked in terms of what units they can produce, because like you really want Tauren to counter the Mountain Giants, and you really want Wind Riders or Bat Riders to counter the Griffins. But again, Starbuck can't make both. Starbuck can make the hard counter units for the things that their team needs, and KraV can just make very all-around units like destroyers and fiends. You actually just want your entire army to go to Starbuck, but he's going to be really taxed in terms of the production capability and upkeep. So it's going to be a rough ride forward for Starbuck and KraV.
Yeah, they're pretty broke now. At least there's a little bit of harass with the wolves denying the mining for Sok, but LawLiet is getting richer and richer and richer at 80 food, and the last mine standing for Starbuck is going to be wiped out in a second as well. Seems like there's no hope no more.
Oh, and we have a level 6 Naga from LawLiet. So I wonder if we're going to see some Tornado action. Tornado, actually not too bad. There's a change a few years ago that made Tornado guaranteed to lift up one unit all the time. And also, I believe it's less random now in terms of where it goes. So actually, I expect to see this in an actual game, and I expect it to be relatively good. At least you would get it over level 3 Frost Arrows, I would say.
Yeah, maybe in this game Mana Shield is not the worst option either against all that nuke. But yeah, it is Tornado, and we might see it as a celebratory ultimate down the road, because here is another split push by KraV and Starbuck, but I think the reactions are there. We have a fight on the left-hand side. Lich about to be deleted, but catches a coil last second. In the meantime, another fight brewing. Sok only has a handful of Griffins. This Archmage is kind of stuck between the three farms. Oh no! Is that Archmage just dead? Invo Potion saves him. We switch to the left-hand side, where a lot of Invo Potions are going on. Lich is about to die. DK is about to die. Dark Ranger about to die. I feel like LawLiet is taking this, and he does alongside Sok. That's the 1-0 for the Koreans.
Oh my god, that was such an amazing game. Just units that you wouldn't typically see in a 2v2. So many expansions and such an epic fight at the end. This series, at least with the first game, is so good, and it delivers on what it was promised for.
Quberte, can you break this game down for us in very, very detailed fashion, please?
I mean, I can try my best. So I think both teams had really good awareness of what the other team was doing in the early game. LawLiet got the crystal ball, which he used to scout KraV's expansion attempt right from the get-go before KraV even started the camp. So LawLiet and Sok knew exactly what they had to do and try and prevent KraV from expanding. So that's why Starbuck went across to try and harass Sok for as long as possible, which he did a pretty good job of. Went back and crept and then attacked Sok's base and did basically huge damage in there. There wasn't really much the Korean team could do to respond to that. For a while, I thought it was looking kind of dicey because LawLiet was being extremely greedy. He stayed 50 food for a really, really long time. I think they crucially managed to hold off that first big push. And then there was just a lot of kind of posturing and not really taking any engagements until the teams felt ready. And I feel like as time went on, basically the human and elf combination was just kind of outscaling the Orc Undead combination. You're pointing it out, Monk, like Starbuck basically has all the counters in his arsenal to the human elf composition. Undead doesn't really have that many options in terms of hard countering units. I think something that's crucial too is that neither player was really able to bully anyone in like the mid game. So for example, like KraV couldn't like control LawLiet throughout the game or something like that and try and bully him while buying space for Starbuck or something like that. It was always sort of either 2v2 engagements or a lot of posturing where neither player was taking a fight. And I think in the end, that allowed Sok to basically get that mass Griffin army, which was just pretty much insane, wiping out everything. I don't think... Basically after the first, like the big fight between them where the Griffins were fully upgraded, we had the protection scroll and everything like that, the bats couldn't really kill very much. LawLiet's army just stood tall. He shouldn't even have lost the Demon Hunter because I think the staff was off cooldown on the Naga even as well. So they shouldn't, Starbuck and KraV shouldn't even have got a hero kill. So that would have been even more one-sided. We would have seen a level 6 Demon Hunter probably already. Sad to see no tornado action, unfortunately.
Not yet. Game is up. We are ready to start map 2, which will be Knollwood. And of course, as always, we're going to play the little guessing game, what fountain it is. I hope you boys are ready for that.
I have to put on my special goggles to figure out which color this damn fountain is.
1-0 lead for LawLiet. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
1-0 lead for LawLiet and Sok, one map away from the grand final. That will be tomorrow after the 1-on-1 semifinals. Xiaokai and 15 Sway are waiting there in a best of 5 then. So we'll see if we get a game 3. I would love to get a game 3 actually. And now we have arrived on Knollwood.
Have fun.
All right, Neo, why don't you tell us who the players are and where they've spawned?
Well, first, okay, if you ask me so nicely, then I will obviously do that. I will start at the very tippity top where this guy is at in terms of Night Elf Elo at the 12 o'clock position for Korea. It's LawLiet. And his ally dominating the air in game 1 and carrying his team to victory there. It's Sok. And close position actually here on Knollwood. We go around the clock and we end up at the 4 o'clock position as the undead is the Lich King. It's KraV. And at the 6 o'clock, randoming, this time ending up on human, is Starbuck.
Lots to say here. First of all, the fountain is a mana fountain, which is very important. It means that I think Undead gains a lot from it being a mana fountain in the middle, getting access to virtually infinite number of death coils. However, it's not going to be a Death Knight. We're actually going to see Lich first this game from KraV. Second of all, I think we have a Mountain King from Starbuck, so that's quite unexpected as well. Meanwhile, typical Archmage from Sok and typical Demon Hunter from LawLiet. So again, it's going to be very standard play from the Human Night Elf team and very unorthodox play from KraV and Starbuck here.
100%. And man, this combo of KraV and Starbuck worries me a little. Lich plus Mountain King. Is there a better nuke in the early game than this?
I struggle to think of one there, but I'm sure there might be some double Mountain King, perhaps.
Maybe.
Could be a better nuke, perhaps.
True.
But yeah, probably not the best synergy. We have Sok scouting the Lich, which is very important. Lich first usually means there's going to be an expansion attempt, and indeed, KraV automatically sells his TP like he did last game, buys a sacrificial skull and a modern necromancy and even a ritual dagger. Based on this scout, I actually expect to see immediate pressure on the expansion. We have both players, both Starbuck and KraV creeping this expansion as a team, which is not something we typically see on Knollwood. And we're going to see an expansion quickly go up, I suspect.
Interesting. Seems to be an undead expansion as well, or maybe just covering it with a Nerubian tower, but it's now blocked as well for a town hall, despite the peasants being here. Interesting choice, but the position of the Expo seems to be a lot better than the natural expansion of the Korean team, because that one is towards the middle and a lot of angles to attack from there, while the one of Starbuck and KraV is pretty protected by the forest around it.
Yeah, just a slight map asymmetry happens to favor KraV and Starbuck. And KraV and Starbuck notice that they're not actually creeping that much right now. They're kind of just posturing in the middle. And part of that, I think, is because they saw that their opponents like kind of scouted their, not necessarily the expansion attempt, but scouted the Lich first, which means I think they were likely to try to go harass the expansion. But we have a surround attempt from Starbuck. This time he closes the surround against the Demon Hunter. Very strong and forces a TP. Not only that, but gets a Troll Forest Priest on the way out, and I think we're looking to a great start. Notably, the expansion actually has not started. It just starts right now as KraV gets the gold, and Sok is already in position to kind of deny the expansion. However, he can't do that because there's so much pressure on the LawLiet here. The LawLiet's Demon Hunter is getting focused down, and even though he has +8 armor from the newly buffed rings, it might not be enough. He's kind of surrounded in a corner there, and he goes down to the Mountain King and the Footman. Typically what is a good matchup for the Demon Hunter, but not in this case.
Man, sometimes Warcraft is so simple. When in doubt, just click on the hero. With your spells, with your units, and that's exactly what's happening here. Surround on the Archmage, he just uses TP. That's a double kill, maybe on the cost of a Lich, but he will get the XP as well. He can portal out. The expansion is coming up. This is so far a perfect game for KraV and Starbuck.
Yeah, Starbuck in the middle of that fight actually passed his TP over to
Oh.
KraV. So if you don't actually need 2 TPs per team, you just need 1 and you just need to pass it over. It's that
Exactly.
easy, Neil. Why doesn't everyone do it?
Right? Sharing is caring.
But yeah, that was an amazing game, amazing engagement. Not only do Starbuck and KraV have the expansion advantage, they have the hero advantage, and the only thing they don't have is the tech advantage. So what I expect to see here is just a tier 2 push from Starbuck and KraV, or Sok and LawLiet, in order to try to finish the game. But that's going to be really hard because the Hunter's Hall is just going up, and Night Elf isn't particularly strong at tier 2 pushing.
Yeah.
The Dryads are okay in skirmishes, but they're not necessarily the best at like frontal engagements and trying to end the opponent. So
Okay.
I'm curious to see how what the plan here is for Starbuck and KraV.
Well, I guess Hero Focus continues. We get a Blood Mage for some Siphon Mana. And maybe, you know what? Even Banish. Banish, Bolt, Nova, Coil, Good Night, everything.
Oh wow! You know, if I were Sok right here, I'd be screaming map hacks because because Starbuck just went over and creepjacked Sok right away when he started the creep, and not only that, but the Lich is here. Oh, this is just carnage for the human player. Bolts, Novas go off. Each bolt is a kill. Each Nova is a kill, and Sok, he was so damaged from before. Now he only has 2 real units his entire army.
Oh, that's not good. A Rifle and a Priest. Paladin is about to pop out, but this altar is surrounded by a lot of units. Just mass tier 1. The Blood Mage is reaching as well. The Mountain King was previously fed by this mana fountain in the middle, so more Storm Bolts. Now we can use Siphon on that Mountain King as well for even more Storm Bolts. It's hammer time.
Yeah, fortunately for the Demon Hunter, he crucially walked out of range of the Siphon mana, or else he would have gotten most of his mana stolen. And crucially, he's at level 3, which means minus 100 mana burns. But still, the Blood Mage usually wins this matchup, and indeed, both players are out of mana. Because of the tech advantage from Sok and LawLiet, they are able to eventually push back this force from Starbuck and KraV, but still, with this Nubian Tower, a Nubian Tower is probably worth like 10-15 supply in these fights. So I think they're going to be able to defend this. Let's see what happens.
You're the second Kevin I know that is voicing about the strength of the Nerubian Tower. It's kind of a theme at this point. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So much slow. Paladin in the back, of course. A super important supporter now. Mountain King actually going down quite a bit. He's not the fastest, especially when the Naga is attacking. But we have Militia, we have so many footmen, and we have strong heroes. Mountain King also kind of low already. Are KraV and Starbuck in trouble?
Oh yeah, the rifle count from Sok and LawLiet is actually building up, and we don't see a lot of units here from Starbuck and KraV. The Blood Mage crucially goes down, and what I'm curious about is where is like all the tech from the players. So we see Starbuck. Here's the reason he doesn't have too much tech. He's at tier 3 now, perhaps a little greedy, and he's now going Knights in order to try to counter the army from Sok and LawLiet.
Ooh, wow, that does take some time, but he might be able to stall that. Love the shop edition on the left-hand side to be able to buy some potions for exactly that purpose. Mountain King needs some safety, and the push continues as Sok is pressuring this expansion, took out some acolytes. The economy advantage is slowly getting diminished, and this push by Sok and LawLiet is stronger than expected.
Yeah, a lot stronger than expected, and they're hitting a perfect timing. I'm curious about this timing actually, because Starbuck he's choosing to tech to tier 3, and usually this is exactly when the tier 2 push hits. So he's exposed a great weakness by being perhaps a little greedy, getting his team to not only take an expansion but to tech to tier 3. So it's kind of a double whammy for why this push is sort of working. And not only sort of, it is indeed working despite the terrible early game from the Korean team.
Ooh, also an expansion growing for LawLiet on the left-hand side on the back of this fight. So even if they don't kill this Expo, it's even then. Mountain King getting nuked. Another potion, heavy drinker. This little dwarf is. But they might be out of stock now. So every hero focus from now on could lead to death. But same is the case. Ooh, on the human undead side. Demon Hunter out of the fight.
Yeah, even though the Demon Hunter did not die, I think this is... Oh, I was going to say, this is still a win because the Demon Hunter is the only tank. However, the Demon Hunter, I did not realize he had a Staff of Teleportation, so he goes right back in the battle. And I think we're seeing the awesome power of the Paladin second here. Paladin second is just an amazing hero if you have a tank hero in the game as well, such as the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter was able to get so much survivability, and we kind of made fun of the rings in the past, but the rings are actually doing an amazing job here at keeping the Demon Hunter alive, especially in combination with the heals. Not only are they making the Demon Hunter more tanky, they're making Holy Light more effective. We see a creep jack here from the Korean team as well. We have Knights and Mortars, a powerful tier 3 army from Starbuck and KraV, and we also have a Lich with an orb. So basically, Starbuck and KraV have all the tech that they want, but do they have the unit count now?
Questionable. We do have fragmentation shards, which makes the mortars a lot better versus rifles, and the nuke is annihilating them as well. Here comes another Echo Harass though, with Immolation and Fork Lightning late game. Dryads might be trapped on the left-hand side. Can the mortars connect? They're gonna tear these Dryads apart, but LawLiet moving them slowly into safety.
Yeah, LawLiet's doing a great job at dodging the mortar shots. The mortars are actually not going to be like the most effective when at these small numbers. So this is the time for the Dryad's time to shine, essentially. Oh, Dryad Micro and some Focus Fire means that the Blood Mage is going down yet again. Blood Mages are not having a good day today.
Absolutely not. The second tier of the human in general, always suffering in both of these games. And LawLiet and Sok, they did enough damage, they bought enough time that LawLiet is mining now, and KraV's expansion was obviously destroyed. So all of a sudden, Echo advantage is with the Koreans, supply advantage is with the Koreans, and the heroes are looking damn strong as well, as Sok is muscling up another attack once again versus KraV.
Yeah, the tables have certainly turned, and now it's the Korean team that has the eco advantage, but now they don't have the army advantage. There's now been a critical mass of knights, and because of that, I think the Western team is actually favored to win a frontal engagement. That being said, the Korean team has the economic advantage now, which means that all they have to do is delay, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. Oh, but there might be a four-corner surround here. Nope. Starbuck is trying to go for the shroud, but he barely misses.
Ooh, the frag shots are coming into play. Can he somehow reach these mortars? No, he does not, as there is a town portal. A couple of Dryads are falling. Demon Hunter with 14 armor not in trouble. Sok is a little bit, but had a potion on his Paladin on the right-hand side. We have a one-on-one in the undead base. Usually that's not going too well, but we have a safety TP out, because that's all they wanted. Well, that poor rifleman didn't have a ticket for the TP. Unfortunate, but there's another expansion growing. We will soon be at 4 versus 2 bases.
Yeah, so for one advantage that Starbuck and KraV have right now is they are actually human and undead. And human undead has a couple of weaknesses, but one of their strengths is their armies are incredibly powerful in the late game. With the tier 3 armies from both the human and undead player, that's basically the best you can hope for. Meanwhile, we have Sok and LawLiet going tier 2 still. And there is a Tree of Eternity for LawLiet. Sok is going to stay at tier 2, but they're just going to try to play the econ game and mass a bigger army against the more powerfully teched army of the Western team.
LawLiet is going for triple Chimera Roost. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he thinks he's playing a 1v1 right now, because triple Chimera Roost is I guess a pretty, not common these days, but somewhat, it's not an uncommon transition against an undead player, I guess. But we saw how effective that aerial magic damage was in the last game. And I think, hey, I think he thinks, hey, my partner made a really successful transition last game. It's my turn now. It's my turn to bring on the magic damager.
That is a very good point and probably exactly what LawLiet is thinking here. We have another fight. KraV is trying to save Starbuck's main, but this feels like it's backfiring. The Fiends are so low. DK not level 2 Coil. He's trying to nuke this Demon Hunter, but as we said, this is so hard to do. 7 armor despite the Orb of Corruption. Very, very well done. So far, LawLiet and Sok are cruising towards the grand final as another attack is coming. Starbuck wants to relieve the pressure.
Oh my god, what I didn't realize is the Demon Hunter also has a Rune Bracer, so that makes him even harder to nuke. Meanwhile, the human player is going into KraV's base again, and it's up to KraV to defend not only this human player, but also a Demon Hunter on his tail.
Dude, we need more people to do the camera here for these 2-2. It's wild. Archmage under fire. He's trying to go for the Haunted Gold Mine. Not enough damage without the Archmage's shots. So how's Starbuck's attack looking? Decent so far. Mortar team's doing a wonderful job, but not killing anything of value. And LawLiet, he did damage to Starbuck's main. There's only one peasant left mining.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have the siege on Sok's main, and Sok actually, he TP'd in, but he actually can't win a fight in open ground. However, I believe he can win a fight if Starbuck were to go into this tiny choke. So Starbuck, all he can do is siege the space while waiting for the first Chimera to come. The first Chimera do come, and there's not enough anti-air damage. Mortar team goes down right away. Second Mortar team goes down. He tries to actually banish a Mortar team, but unfortunately there's too much magic damage. And the tables have turned yet again. I don't believe there's any web. Why would there be web in this scenario? But it seems like is Web is not even researching because KraV doesn't have any lumber and no ghouls to mine either. So he's actually building a ghoul, unsummoning an altar in order to afford Web. And we have the fight here right now. A surround or a bolt, an attempted surround on the Archmage. Is the Archmage gonna die? Yes, it falls finally.
Oh my god, level 3 Blood Mage now. Little split forces at Starbuck's base once again. The Chimeras trying to take out the undead main. No corrosive breath just yet, but might not even need it. The magic damage is enough as KraV and Starbuck are collapsing on Sok's human tier 2 base once again. But man, looking at the minimap, there's LawLiet like everywhere. He's planting down 2 more trees of life, getting all the gold mines.
Yeah, who does LawLiet think he is? Moon in this scenario? The trees of life are just all over the place. And to be honest, I feel like this is one of the scenarios where they feel like it's almost like styling on their opponent. They feel like they're so ahead with the choices that they made in this game.
They seem to be the dominant force in these 2-2s, winning this semifinal, which a lot of people said is the real grand final. With 2-0 would be a big statement for tomorrow. But I guess this game is not over yet. The curtains didn't close. One big fight and KraV and Starbuck might be able to turn this around. We have another red spot, Spike Collar, a little bit of mana burn, but will that save the game? Probably not.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, we have basically no mining from the KraV Starbuck team, and we have this really awkward mix of both gargoyles and fiends. It's never a combination you really want. Usually when you see this combination, you know something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. And that's probably the scenario in this case. The gargoyles are kicking away at the chimeras, but the rest of LawLiet's army is coming to reinforce. And I actually think LawLiet might actually be able to win a 2v1 or close to it in this at this point.
Yeah, it's not the greatest anti-air in the world in this army mix right now. It's also 83 food. GG! We have our grand final tomorrow afternoon. It's LawLiet and Sok versus Xiaokai and 15 Sway.
Wow, that series certainly did not disappoint. We certainly saw a lot of chaos from both sides, probably initiated by KraV and Starbuck. But in the end, Sok and LawLiet were able to take it 2-0 in some of the most exciting 2v2 games I've ever seen. Someone needs to sponsor a best of 9 between these two teams, or maybe even a best of 69. What do you think, Neo?
Best of 69, I think that's nice.
Nice. Man, that series did not disappoint. Even though it was a 2-0 result, both games were seriously sick. I honestly, I was counting out Sok and LawLiet in the early game there. It was pretty much a complete disaster for them losing both of their level 2 heroes, but I guess they just weren't able to close out, which wasn't really their goal, I guess. But when KraV and Starbuck tried to push Sok once again, and the Koreans managed to kind of rally their forces and had 4 heroes there, they couldn't really do much anymore. They couldn't keep up any pressure, and the Undead expansion just didn't get to pay off at all, basically. Takes a little bit too long to build these days, huh?
I really think the
Sorry, go ahead.
I really think the difference maker was not only that they chose to expand, but also chose to go double tier 3. I think if the human had transitioned to maybe even like rifles or breakers or any tier 2 unit, I think they would have probably been able to hold off pretty comfortably. And I think the second biggest deciding factor was actually the double ring drop on the Demon Hunter. In combination with the Paladin, that really the Demon Hunter was the only unit that was taking any damage in that fight. And the Demon Hunter was just so tanky. And it's a situation where even if it were the old rings and the old claws, +5 claws or +6 claws and +3 rings, I think the rings would have done a better, would have been more of a service to the Demon Hunter and that team right there. So just a lot of little things adding up to create that game state.
Yeah, the effective HP synergy is just insane. You've got the Paladin second, you've got the Staff of Preservation to send the Demon Hunter home, heal up, Telestaff back in again at full HP. It was just so beautiful to see that sort of synergy being used. But yeah, I think even though KraV and Buck went down 0-2 here, they brought forth some pretty peculiar and unorthodox strategies that they tried to execute. Obviously, the first game was pretty close indeed. And this game, unfortunately, I was like, wow, they're just smashing them. Like right away, this MK Lich combination, the hero snipe potential is just off the charts with all these ghouls and footies, you know, just able to block in heroes. I actually like Starbuck's idea to try and tech tier 3, because I think he understood that he basically needs to try and get towards Knights and Fragmentation Shard Mortars as kind of like basically a hard counter to tier 2 human Night Elf. Like it just counters both armies pretty much. But yeah, they kind of just weren't able to hold that expansion in the end and just fell behind too far economically.
Yeah, kudos to both teams, Starbuck and KraV, for coming up with high pressure strategies, not on the fly really, but they didn't really know until the game started what race combos they were playing, so they had to have several different plans for every single map, so that speaks of a lot of preparation and a lot of skills. And also kudos to the Korean team having such deep game knowledge to always find the perfect counter in game 1 with the Griffins, in game 2 surviving that high pressure, and then eventually split pushing a lot, doing echo damage. That tier 2 push was so well done, and I'm really excited for tomorrow's big best of 5 grand final.
Oh, best of 5 is it? I didn't even realize that. I'm pretty excited as well, even more excited than I was before. Of course, we're going to have Sok and LawLiet from today's games, and they're going to be fighting against 15 Sui and Xiao Kai, who took the other semifinals yesterday.
Yeah, this 2-2 grand final was designed to give the one-on-one players a little bit of rest after the semifinals of the one-on-one. And Sok, well, he could be in both grand finals tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we'd all very much like to see that for sure. Having a human at the top is something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And Sok, he's just such a cool dude. Why wouldn't you want him to be at the top?
Well, maybe I like Focus more.
They're all so nice, aren't they?
They are.
I have a question, guys. Is human overpowered?
No!
Don't start the discussion here.
I was about to say,
Pod is fuming in chat right now.
Should we invite a certain Johan Merlo to the call, Monk?
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna raise some private conversations here.
You're gonna get put in your place, Kevin.
Exactly. We will continue with the one-on-one section of this day, and that means a little caster rotation. Monk will probably go back to bed or onto the couch and watch the one-on-one. We're gonna switch Remo in for that, who's doing a wonderful job in the back, providing us with some admin work. But Monk, you're not only casting high-class Warcraft 2-2, are you? You're quite busy outside of Warcraft as well.
Well, in my spare time, while I'm not doing my full job of casting Warcraft 3. I actually do a little game development on the side. Right now, I'm currently working at a little company called Frost Giant, and we're working on what we like to think is a spiritual successor to Blizzard RTSs, and what will hopefully be the next big RTS. That RTS is called Stormgate, and you can find out more about us on our website at playstormgate.com. And if you want to help us out, the best way to help us is by going to Steam, searching Stormgate, and hitting the wish list button, which I believe Remo is demonstrating right now on how to do. If you do that, you'll expose us to even more players and allow us to really send the message out that, hey, we are an RTS company, we are making this game, and you might even see some cool footage, some gameplay footage pretty soon.
Ooh, I also heard there is a closed alpha coming soon, followed by a bigger beta soon. So definitely worth the follow here on Steam. Monk, you'll be joining us tomorrow once again. Thank you so much for getting up at like 5 a.m. your time and celebrating the games with us.
Yeah, and you mentioned yesterday, you mentioned that I would either be going to bed or on the couch to watch the remaining 1v1 games. I'll do you one better. I'm going back to bed in order to watch the remaining 1v1 games from bed.
Absolutely perfect, Monk. Thank you very much. We continue with an orc mirror between Soin and Hitman. So guys, don't go anywhere.